tifu, by thinking peanut butter was supposed to be spicy, by user Tsach the person. Obligatory, this happened a few months back. Ever since I was a kid I loved how peanut butter used to taste. Not only did it taste good, but it had this weird spice to it that wasn't like a chili pepper type spice, but wholly unique that I never tasted in other foods. It was the perfect accent when mixed with jelly, as the spiciness and the sweetness went together perfectly. Sometimes I'd eat too fast, and have a bit of a hard time breathing, but I never thought anything of it. I also remember getting some weird looks a few times as a kid talking about spicy peanut butter, but didn't think anything of that either. One day a few months ago, I, 25M, was staying at my parents' house and went to make myself some lunch. I saw some peanut butter in the pantry, but no jelly, so since I was hungry I slammed about an inch of peanut butter between two slices of bread and remember thinking, wow, this is the most peanut butter I've ever eaten at once, but then got to work devouring my creation. This is where the fuck up starts. A few bites and I got that ate too fast, feeling again and had to take a break to catch my breath. I started eating again and immediately got the ate too fast feeling again. Damn, it's going to take me forever to eat this sandwich I thought, so I became determined to just power through and finish it no matter how uncomfortable it was. Big mistake. I made it to about the halfway point before I knew something was wrong. It felt simultaneously like there was a rock stuck in my windpipe and like somebody had filled my lungs with peanut butter. Wheezing and struggling to breath, it fucking hurt. The amount of time it took to take a full breath was causing me to panic and felt like I was trying to fill up a hot air balloon with a straw. I immediately started googling heart attack symptoms, but they didn't really match up. I then googled the symptoms themselves and results of symptoms of allergic reactions started coming up. Some of the main symptoms were difficulty breathing, chest tightness, and wheezing. Then I scrolled further down and saw a section about things to watch out for in children, and the top one was, the child says their mouth feels hot, or that they say non-spicy food is spicy. After a painfully long period of time I started being able to breathe again and suddenly all the weird looks I got from talking about spicy peanut butter made sense. Peanut butter wasn't spicy, I'd just been poisoning myself all these years. I now use peanut butter alternatives and mix my jelly with sweet Asian chili jelly, I pick up from the store and it's just as good, but doesn't almost kill me. TLDR, I thought peanut butter was supposed to taste spicy, turns out I'm just an idiot and allergic to it. Edit, thanks for the awards. Also glad I could help some people realize the signs of allergies. Edit 2, a lot of people were asking why I didn't immediately call an ambulance. Remember, this was something that happened all the time and I thought was normal, so it took about 30 seconds of me waiting for it to go away, then realizing it wasn't and drinking some water, 40 to 120 seconds now, before I even went to get my phone. By this point it had actually started to get better, slowly, but noticeably, so I knew I was in the clear. This is why I googled heart attack, as it was my understanding that some of those symptoms can be transient. TIF update, my buddy called from the space station again and I didn't send it to voicemail this time, by user empathetic apatheist. He called back on Saturday, phew. What a fascinating and amazing experience. Call quality was as good as a regular call but there was a slight delay that made natural conversation a little difficult. I asked where he was currently flying over and he said the western coast of Africa. Then I asked how the ride was and he said smooth and awesome, his first trip was on a Soyuz. He said the second stage acceleration was incredible and that they hit over 4 gs, noting that it's surprising the thing stays together. Then at Seco they were thrown into their straps from the deceleration, and bam, orbit, roughly 8.5 minutes after launch. They were coming up on a couple of days off, not because of Memorial Day, just coincidence. The conversation was 12 minutes long but we had to end it because of a satellite issue that was about to happen, exact reason is out of my wheelhouse. Interestingly, the call came from the exact same relay number. We joked about some funny stuff that happened when I went out for the launch. He got a kick out of the situation with the first call that I shared here and said that's a common occurrence, smiley face. I didn't expect the call to be as short as it was so I forgot to tell him how much the original post blew up, but I'm definitely going to email him about it. I just saw today that there are a bunch of articles online and a few podcasts that mentioned the post. The internet is a fascinating place sometimes. Call log. Original post. TLDR this time I actually answered a call from the space station and it was pretty cool to talk to my friend while he wasn't on the planet. Edit, typo and formatting. TIFU by accidentally turning myself in for homicide, by uservame3. This happened a few years ago. I was driving in a quiet residential neighborhood late at night to get to a friend's house. Everyone on the streets had their garbage and recycling bins out and one was knocked over with everything spilling out. I tried to dodge it but I felt my car go over a bump. As I looked in the rearview mirror I see something that looks like an animal. I immediately stop and as soon as I open the door I'm hit by the smell of skunk. Once I confirm it's dead I get back in my car and start freaking out. I've never hit anything before and the idea that I just killed something hit me hard. I called my friend to tell him I'll be a little late and as soon as he picks up I start bawling my eyes out. I tried to tell him what happened as best I can while crying. My friend asks me if I want him to call someone and I say yes. I'm thinking he means the city or whoever you call to report roadkill. I tell him exactly where I am and he tells me to stay put, he'll call me right back. Less than 10 minutes go by and I hear sirens. Shortly after, police pull in behind me. Ambulance and fire arrive shortly after. Now it's close to 1 a.m. and people are starting to come out of their houses and the street is packed. Police officers are telling me to roll my windows down and looking around my car. Paramedics and firefighters are doing the same thing. Bear in mind the horrendous smell they're all dealing with. They get to my window and I'm still crying but extremely confused, so I start to tell them what happened and they keep asking where is he? I get out and point to the skunk and all hell breaks loose. They start yelling at me asking if I'm pranking them and telling me I committed a crime. Between their disparagements I realized that they were responding to a homicide. I called my friend and realized that he thought I killed someone. In my distressed state all he could make out was "Oh my god, I hit him, he's dead, oh my god," and lots of crying and swearing. The mix-up had to be explained to everyone around, including all the neighbors that came outside. Police were pissed off and gave me a very long lecture, but ultimately decided not to charge me. The kicker, one of the neighbors heard the story and gave me an odd look and said the skunk's been there a few hours, they already left a message about it. The bump was from the spilled recycling. The police get mad again and eventually yelled at me to leave. All in all, it was a valuable learning experience to text when I'm crying. TLDR, I was on the way to a friend's house and hit a skunk. I called my friend crying to tell him I'll be late and what happened and he said he'll call someone. Police, firefighters, and paramedics show up and a bunch of neighbors came outside. Turns out my friend thought I hit someone and called 911. A neighbor said the skunk had already been there and I didn't even hit it, I just hit something that fell out of a recycling bin. Got yelled at for wasting resources but they ultimately decided to not charge me with anything. TIFU by turning my wallet into a money grab game for an Uzbek daycare, by user Taxi Cabbie. Yes, this did happen today. Right now. I can still hear the childish whoops of joy as I write. I am American, but I currently live and work in Uzbekistan. I live in a smaller regional city not Tashkent. Today I was walking from my apartment to the dumpster to clear out trash. I also needed to buy some water. Thus, I had a bag of garbage and my empty 10-liter water bottle in one hand, and what I call my money folder in the other. Due to the nature of Uzbek currency, you need to carry around a lot of paper bills to get anything done. As a result, everybody male and female alike carries zip-around wallets to compensate for this. Most of them have wrist straps so you can carry them individually, without an extra bag. Given that I was just going to the dumpster in the local to pick up some water, all I needed was my money folder looped around my wrist, which had money in it and my passport. Apparently, I waltzed out of my apartment complex with the money folder unzipped. When I got outside, I unconsciously dropped the money folder, thinking it would just dangle around my wrist. But it was unzipped. One of the apartments near me actually houses a daycare, young kids, maybe between 5 and 10, mostly. The kids are often outside, playing on nearby playgrounds and in the smaller parking lots. Living in ex-Soviet apartment blocks is very much like living in the projects in the US in terms of the layout, only it's actually functional. The kids were outside, running around, playing tag, kicking a ball, etc. Some greet me, and I greet them back. Suddenly, the air exploded with childish shrieks, and I whirl around to see, the air full of multicolored bills in a sudden gust. It's going in all directions, there's no way I'm going to be able to grab it all before it gets blown away. The kids notice this immediately, abandon the playground equipment and start chasing after it all with shrieks of joy. I notice one of the kids taking off toward the other side of the parking lot is holding a blue American passport, he must have picked it up off the ground. The kids go in all directions and start grabbing bills out of the air like it's a kids' bop rap video. After they collect all of the money, they all run back up to me and give it all back, including the passport. Then they all run laughing back to the playground. I go on my way to throw out my garbage, and then go to the store to buy my water, and a shitload of candy. I bring the bag back to the playground, where there is more immediate shrieking and the kids pillage it like tiny Vikings. They share, though. The kids are still outside my window, now on a total sugar high. TLDR, I lost all of my money and my documents today because I forgot to close my wallet and was saved by a bunch of kids who probably thought I was playing a fun game and not being an absent-minded idiot. They all got tons of candy. TIFU by hanging out with 3 murderers, by user $50 Volvo. Blah blah. This was in 2015, when I was 15. I was sleeping over at my friend's house, and we were home alone. We smoked some weed and were really baked. We realized we needed some munchies at about 1 AM, so we walked about 2 miles to the 24/7 grocery store. My friend was really paranoid the whole time we walked, thinking someone was going to jump out of the bushes or something. We make it to the store, get a shit ton of snacks. My friend says she is too scared to walk back home, so we sit in the little lobby in front of the grocery store trying to find a taxi. We only had cash with us, so Uber was not an option. While we're sitting and failing to find a taxi because we lived in suburbia where there are no taxis in the middle of the night, we see a group of 3 guys around our age come in. 5 minutes later the 3 of them run out of the store, all holding some kind of liquor. The one employee half-assedly chased them to the door but just shrugged when they escaped inside. At this point we realized we weren't gonna find any taxis, so we decided to suck it up and just walk home. We're leaving the store and walk past this little sitting area maybe 75 feet from the grocery store entrance. There were the 3 guys, just chillin' and drinking their free booze. One of them shouts asking if we'd like to join them. I immediately panic whisper to my friend no, but for some reason she says yes. How she was too scared to walk 2 miles in the dark but not scared enough to say no to these guys. Well, I'm not leaving her, so I sit down too. They give us each a beer and they're talking about random high school stuff. They all seemed to be pretty intoxicated already, and one guy seemed to be on something else too. He was incoherent and flopping around the ground. Not in an I'm dying way, just in a I'm really fucked up way. We sit there for maybe 20 minutes before my friend realizes this maybe wasn't a good idea, so we look at each other like let's get F out of here, what are we doing, and say we need to get home. They say they don't mind walking us home. And say that maybe they can come to my friend's house and smoke some weed. Which is obviously not a great idea, and we said we were okay, but they followed us anyways, so we decide to walk to the park nearby her house and then ditch them there. They threw the one really fucked up guy in a shopping cart and offered to carry our shopping bags. We did buy a lot of munchies, so we agree. They throw our stuff on top of the guy. They were nice guys, we just were not down to have them in our house, and they were very pushy about wanting to come over. We make it to the park and they disperse. The fucked up guy tries to climb over the playground fence but gets stuck and just stays there, hanging over the fence. The other 2 start dicking around the playground. My friend and I grab our shit and make a break for the trees. They didn't even notice we left. We get back to her house, laughing about how weird that whole situation was, and dive into our munchies at last. We pass out in front of the TV. The next morning, her mom came home while we were making some breakfast. We're just chit-chatting when she asks if we heard about that hit and run over a drug deal gone wrong involving some students at our rival high school. We hadn't, so we asked for more info. She pulls up a news article showing 4 mugshots, 3 of which are the guys we met the night before. Turns out they and a girl tried to get weed without paying for it, and ended up like pushing the dealer out of the moving car or something like that. Maybe she climbed on the side and fell off, I don't remember, and killed her. We just looked at each other like TLDR. Met some sketchy guys in the middle of the night and hung out with them for a bit. Realized the next day they killed a girl hours before chilling with us.